Yo, so Novocaine, right? Novocaine is the new film from Dan Berk and Robert Olsen. They direct, Lars Jacobson writes. The film is produced by Adam Friedlander, Jody Harold, Julian Rosenberg, Matt Schwartz, Drew Biersa, and Tori Tunnel. It is executive produced by Lars Jacobson, Paul Barb, and Josh Adler. So, music was handled by Lorne Balfe and Andrew Kalnischke. Jax Jufrat is on cinematography. Right, Christian Wagner edits the piece with Bonnie Lee Booman and Runa Kress taking care of casting. Cara Lindstrom is production design. Art direction, we have Kirk Duman, Sarah Hartinger, and Maury McGregor. Leslie Joyce is set decoration. Hair, makeup, prosthetics, we have Lion Van Wyck, Krista, Maya Rhodes, Nicole Bassar, Marek Libertrue, Ermine Christine Veneta, Natasha Dutoit, Anazo Kotani, and Liza Marie Boffma. Our cast, right? We have got Jack Quaid as Nate. His love interest, Sherry, is played by Amber Midthunder. There's Roscoe, his online buddy, played by Jacob Batalon. There's our police. Let's see if we have name listings. Dum 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 dum. Yeah, I think this is probably better. Yeah, so there's Mincy Langstrom, right? She's a police officer played by Betty. Partner Coltrane Duffy is played by Matt Walsh. We've got Simon Greenlee, played by Ray Nicholson, and his partners, Andre Clark, played by Conrad Kenra, and Ben Clark, played by Evan Hengst. We've got Nigel, the bank manager, Nate's boss, played by Craig Jackson. One of the bank customers, Earl, played by Lou Beatty Jr. There's the tattoo artist, Zeno, played by Garth Collins. Who else do we have? The waitress at the diner. Gosh, boy, it was played by Jessica Lee Stanley. The bartender is Antoinette Umila. Dom reporter The EMT is played by Deville Vanik. The other one played by Lance Elliott. Mutsi Teketa is the prison guard. The other tattoo person is played by Tony Jean Erasmus. Yeah, that's our main lot of people. The gist of the story is this: when the girl of his dreams turns his rare condition into an unexpected advantage in the fight to rescue her. I saw this on IMDb, which I thought was interesting, right? It's under the trivia section. Right, it says, despite Nate's ability to not feel pain, Dan Berk and Robert Olsen were meticulous in working to make sure the internal logic of the film stayed grounded. No matter how heightened the situation became, he's not a superhero, and we were going to take liberties with how far the human body can be pushed, Berk says. Every action movie does, but we wanted to stay within a semi-believable realm within the rule system of our movie. So what we did with our stunt team was we went through and audited every hits. We didn't want his face to be mashed potato by the midpoint of the movie. Because what we see is definitely not believable. Definitely not in the realms, right? Because, he can't feel pain, but you kind of go, he'd have lost so much blood. Like, there's no way we see him getting to the end of this film. It's kind of crazy, right? It's kind of crazy. There's other things, right? Like, I don't think a gun is gonna work after being in boiling oil for, at least 30 seconds. And I feel it was longer than that, right? Because internal parts are probably gonna melt slightly. It's just not gonna work. So there was little things going on in the film which I didn't know. I'm thinking, huh? Now, I went to an advanced screening, right? Everyone in the screen, it wasn't a packed screening, which I thought was weird. I always feel like press screenings, advanced screenings, a lot of times you go, they're not packed, and you're scratching your head like, how? Why? But everyone in the screening laughing their asses off, right? Laughing their asses off. I did think to myself, have they pumped something in here that I'm not affected by? Because I didn't laugh. I think I might have chuckled one time, but that was it, right? It wasn't really my humor, but right, it's one of them films in the vein of a Cranked, right? I mean, Cranked wasn't too bad. Crank 2 was terrible. So yeah, I'd probably say Crank 2 is in the vein of a Crank 2. So if that's your kind of humor, that's your kind of vibe, then boom, this is you. This is you. Now, we have the fact that he can't feel pain, which, I've heard of this condition. I didn't like, because he's just like, I can't eat solid food because I might bite my tongue off. I don't know if that's a real thing, right? Because I don't know, like, no one's constantly biting their tongue when they eat. You know what I mean? Like, how many times have you heard as they've been eat. So that I wasn't quite sure about, right? I thought that was a little bit of an odd one. But sure, even like your parents would just be like, Matt, you have to eat slowly, right? Chew slowly. Don't bite down crazy hard on time, because then you're definitely not going to bite your tongue, right? So yeah, there was certain things in the film which you were kind of like, is that a thing? I don't know. Right. So the whole relationship between him and Sherry, you do, it does become clear later on, right? Some of the other stuff then is still a bit like, this isn't like Sherry. There's a thing with Sherry and a decision she makes, and you do kind of wonder because there's something that is said, and you're just like, okay, so if you're bothered by, why weren't you bothered by those things, right? Like, it's a bit, I don't know. That I think in the film, right, we have this twist that is revealed so early. It doesn't make any sense. Why? I just don't know why. Because there's a way of where you still wouldn't know. Like you could play it out until the end, right? Just through the communication, right? The way people communicate with each other, right? You just play it like that. So you have conversations in a certain place, right? Because I think if you don't find out until the end, shit's gonna hit so different, right? So different, which would just be better. So like a lot better. You do wonder why Grace would draw a Christmas card. You know, that was an odd one. There's definitely an odd one. Um, it's this is the action film that I think you need a more convincing action star to really, well, an action star, and you need a better script, right? Just better dialogue, because I think they've kind of got him trying to wisecrack, right? But it just doesn't really make any sense. And it doesn't make sense for him as an actor, because when you watch something like what is completely just bonkers, right? You're just like, wait, what? This one person doing all of this, but at least, right? Neeson's character was in the army, right? He knows his shit. In this, Nate is a bank manager that hasn't shot a gun, hasn't done any sort of martial arts or anything, which does make the triangle a bit of an odd one. But he hasn't done anything, so it just wouldn't make sense for him to get anywhere in this endeavor. If you've got that the character, he works out and he's always boxed, but he's never wanted to take it to the next level or something like that, right? He's been good, but of having a proper fight. Like, you know, that kind of thing would make more sense. But he's never done anything. So then it's just like, he wouldn't survive. Right? There's no way this is happening. So the script lets it down, and Jack Quaid, like Jack, or anything like that. It's just leave in him for this role. That's the big thing. You just don't believe in him, right? When you look at other characters, right? Andre and Ben, all of those people you believe as those roles. You'd be like, yeah, for sure. But Nate, not really. Not really. But I think if you enjoy, as I said, like a Crank 2, right? If that really, really worked for you, yeah, I think if Love Hurts was the action film you've seen, you know, then I think this might work for you, right? It kind of like, if you liked that John Wick TV series, The Continental, Dunk like a motherfucker. If you like that, then I think you might enjoy Novocaine, right? It is out this Friday in cinemas, so hey, you might want to check it out, right? I mean, oh, what's her name? Like, certain people weren't bad, like Betty Gabriel, Matt Walsh were decent. Amber Midthunder was. The script was kind of like, eh. But yeah, you know, there's things that aren't bad, but you know, it's just one of those things, right? But it's out on Friday. You can decide if this is for you. Okay.